Yeah, we've interviewed some ex-cops, and they say because drugs are illegal, the black market gets bigger every year. So young people are just tempted into it, and they get the knives, and whichever gang is the most violent takes over the territory.
Yeah, and I can see that.
It's like an incentive for it.
We have that where we are, and it's such a shame because some of the kids there, I've been speaking to one of the lads out there. He's a lovely, I don't say like I said it the other day, a good-looking guy. Oh my God, he's intelligent. This kid's intelligent. And it's like, and I said to him, what do you want to do with your life, mate? Yeah. I said, because I'm only telling you, not that listen, well, you've done your own work. I mean, drugs was never my thing, never has been, never will be. But I was always involved with the violence, if you know what I mean. And so when I was talking to him, I said, but what do you want? Because you're going to end up dead or in prison, mate. And it's such a waste. And he's an intelligent guy. And like I wish I could help people like that. That's what I'm saying, doing these things. No way am I ever going to sit here condone what I've done. Because if I get my point across to a few people, go, do you know what? There's better things out there. I said again, when my daughter was born, I walked out of my house, and my old lady used to get the hump with me. I walked out and go, you can smell the grass. I feel the rain. Because I was so selfish back before I did whatever I wanted. I wanted that, I'm going to get that. I want that. You give me the money. And I'll become a bit of a knob, to be honest with you. But so with the violence, it was always because I was that quick to be violent. That's why people left me alone. So
we've had a few classic doorman stories from Frenchie, from Steve Rafe, and from other people.
All good boys.
And they've said there's always been a situation whereby people have come back like 20, 30 strong.
Yeah,
and they've had like huge battles. Did that ever happen in your career?
We were once saying the Astoria again. That was quite the naughtiest place we've ever worked. Like for me, it was like they used to have like and I put it with on this something like the Black Nights. It'd be like that kind of like the acid nights, and it'd be like I remember we had a bit of a thing on the door. We chucked half a dozen people out, and all of a sudden, come near the end of the night, they were waiting across the road. There must have been about 30 of them, and I always remember the police come. They all like sectioned it all off, and the police went, "You're really lucky." I mean, I was just a game kid, and it was like we went opposite the Astoria. There used to be what's it called, the thingy centre. I can't remember what it's called, Centre Point, and they had a big fountain outside. And when they said the police, go and have a look what's in that fountain. And when the police turned up, there was machetes and knives. When the police come, they chucked all. I mean, listen, I was just a game kid. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I come. I won't say I haven't used weapons, and as life got on, that's all seemed to be involved. But I mean, I was like, was it Roberto Duran, mano a mano, like man? I thought that was how we were going to be. We're the toughest one survives. But me, that's why I'm very much a Neanderthal. I still believe in that. Yeah, okay. I still think of course I'm going to look after myself. But I said, where my dad taught us, I grew up looking up to Lenny McLean and Roy Shaw. These are the people I grew up. And Roy, he'd done the forward to my first book. And he, I could say he was my friend. We went out quite a few times, had some great nights. So how was I going to be any different? Well, I thought, we're gonna fight, we're gonna have irons. But it ain't like that nowadays. You get these little kids, you look at them, you give them a backhand, they're gonna go over. Next minute they're gonna come back and just stab you. Or they'd even shoot you nowadays, wouldn't they, for nothing. I mean, you keep hearing about these people, like you give them, back in the day, like you could get, who knows what hit is, but I mean, it's like, you're talking lots of money. Nowadays, you're going to get a crackhead to go and kill someone for £100, wouldn't you?
Yeah, we had Gary Shaw on here, Roy Shaw's son.
Yeah, Gary's a good man. I haven't spoken to him in a while, but he's a tough boy, Gary. Gary's a tough boy.
Yeah, definitely.
But listen, it's an hard one to follow in his dad's footsteps there, ain't it? Like you got Roy and you got Gary.
I watched a video about his stories in Malta, the dad.
Yeah, when he went into the nightclub, weren't it, or something, and the bloke got me, flipped the table up. But but Roy, but to me, that's what Roy was. I mean, you go out, true gentleman. Could never ask. I mean, we've been out loads of times, me, Roy, and like with Vic, we go out because
that's Vic Dark.
Yeah, Vic Dark. Like but they're just gentlemen. You go out. What I love about now, Vic. And Roy, they'd always wear suits. Always, we go. So we used to go to the country club. Me and Vic, they always look so smart, manners, impeccable manners. And that's why certain things rub off, and that's why I don't think manners cost nothing now. Well, they do nowadays, don't they? Because no one's got no manners.
That's a really good lesson as well. Yeah.
Yep.
So on the doors, then. What kind of injuries? What was like the worst injury or worst scenario you in where you actually ever worried for your life?
We had a couple of things. Obviously, we had I remember a pal of mine, like Big Johnny, was working at a place in Chingford. And a bloke turned up in a car and he pulled the gun out, pointed the gun. John being John just run at the geezer and the geezer drove off. I mean, these things, when people are going to shoot, you ain't going to see it coming. You know, they're just going to walk up. And we've learnt, I think we've learnt the hard way. I mean, most of the damage I used to get was to my hands because we were hitting people and things like that. But again, not saying, we were quite lucky. When we used to work in a firm called Top Guard, we had a great team. We had a fella there called John Novo. He was there, couldn't ask for a better man on the door, going with Terry O'Neill. We had a fella called Paddy. He was Irish, but he used to box for Ireland. He was, we had some good guys that going with Matty and things like that. And we had a great little team there that we all become really close. Yeah. And it was like, even now we speak to, I mentioned Terry earlier. He came over from Australia a couple of years ago and we met at Winter Wonderland and he so made my day because we were still close as we were back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, the damage I used to do, I mean, yeah, okay, you're going with a few lumps and bumps. We took over the venue at New Cross and it was like a working man's club. So they changed into this studio and it's still going now where they do like a lot of indie bands. Like they used to have bands like Carter, I don't know if you remember Carter, USM, back in the day, in the 90s, the Levelers, things like that. It was that kind of indie music. I used to love it. You know, their kind of music was like the Pixies, Red Hot Chili Peppers, things like that, The Farm. And that was my kind of music. So I used to get paid to work in a nightclub. I used to actually love going to anyway. But in the trouble we had there the first 6 months when they changed it over was that they tried to let the regulars back in, but let them know, look, this isn't this working man's club. And it was like a proper working man's club. So within the first, we used to have to fight them in, and that was, we used to have some battles there. But then they were quite good, where it was like an Irish working man's club. So they'd have a bit of a ding-dong with you, and the next day they'd come and shake your hand. And it was all done. It ain't like that nowadays, because you have a ding-dong with someone, they're going to come back the next day. As you just said, they'd come back. You got to be on the ball. I mean, we're back then, I'm like the 90s, that's like 30 years ago. We didn't have metal detectors. We weren't really worried about knives and guns as such. But nowadays, knives and guns, it's every day now, isn't it? I mean, you get metal detectors now in schools. How mad's that? Like you'd have respect for your teacher. If your teacher said you won't on to ring your dad, you crap yourself. Now, the teachers, they end up getting beaten up. It's terrible. There's no respect there now, is there? Now I'm sounding like an old fart, no respect. Yeah. It will.
Yeah, so on your Danny Dyer, and I've watched your interview with Jamie Boyle as well, Jamie Boyle talking about you. So one of the big things in your life then was the public fight in 2002 with Audley Harrison.
Ordinary, yeah.
Yeah, so how what was that like?
Listen, and have a little drink of water, so it was.
Go for it. So in the description box below this video is going to be all of the links to Jamie Boyle's stuff, his Amazon link. If you want to check Dominic's book out, go down there and you can just click on that and check it out.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, they come to us with a fight. We were supposed to fight him, I think it might have been a year before. And I actually got food poisoning about, I don't know, it was about a week before, 10 days before the fight. And I was on fire. So long and short, we had to pull out to show them the paperwork, doctor give us a sick note, because obviously they had to get another opponent in. They dropped it on us about this fight, because, a couple of months' notice. And I was so shocked I beat this geezer. I was so, don't get he's a big man. And I'll be honest with you, and it's all about being honest, okay, I've got a bit of juice, and it probably didn't do me no favours anyway. Well, no, it didn't do me no favours, because I was carrying this extra muscle. I was normally about 15 stone. I come in at 17 stone, and you see on me, I was in proper good nick then. And but then what you don't realise, you've got a 15 stone art, got to carry 17 stone geezer, and that's what I mean. But I've got it now, all thinking to Audley, great, great ambassador for the sport, good fighter. Definitely, the better man won. And so, even if I did win that fight, I wouldn't have deserved to have won it, because obviously in my eyes I cheated. And if you read the first book, it is an actual chapter that talks about if I did win, it would have left a bad taste in my mouth, because I'm not like that. I know it's an outside in the car park, I'll pull your eyeballs out. But in a ring, it's a little bit different. See, in that ring, and what I noticed for a big guy, he was lovely quick hands, and he had really, really good footwork, But then, and as the story goes, you see in the fourth round, I'm getting a little bit tired, and I think, well, I'm used to 10-round fights. But obviously, because I'm carrying, and also, you've watched it, people go, he knocked me down. He throws a straight left, well, I throw a straight right. You watch it, I watch it I don't watch it because it gives me the ump. But as I throw the right, and he parries it, watch, I'm sort of going at the ropes, and also I take a knee. Now, he was right in the way because my glove never touched the floor. Then he takes 2 steps out, he sees me and he walks back and hits me as hard as he can. But if this guy's going to hit so hard, why didn't he knock me out? Then that's when I got the ump. If you notice, and that's when it all sort of like went a bit bandy. I jump out, Gumshaw comes out, bit of verbal.
Isn't that an automatically disqualification?
No, I think John Lewis didn't want to because I was going mad.
Yeah.
So then I jump up, stick the nut on him, and then he and the referee, great referee, he calms us down. I've got people in the crowd going, yeah. I said, well, yeah, you never in a Attwood, and I'm going mad, and he calmed us down.
Yeah.
And then the fourth thing, you see, it changed the whole fight, though. It changed the whole persona of the fight. And I'm not saying I was beaten, but I got the better of him a little bit then because it rattled him a lot. Because now it's my fight now. It's my fight now. But then I've got to say, the better man won. But we brought this up the other week. One thing I'd love to do, he don't give a toss about me. I'd love to sit down and have a coffee with him. Because out of that fight, I'm the one that got the press. He got so much bad press over it because there's me, little chunky cruiserweight. All of a sudden showing him and also he's supposed to be this world champion material. But my dad was there then, and he was in his wheelchair. And we went to see him afterwards. And you had Phil Torrance there, great American trainer. He was training, what was his name? Montel Griffin, the first geezer that beat Roy Jones Jr. But I remember so I went to see him. Like, fight's over, got my kit on, we're going, Dad's with us, his pals, it was like last of the summer wine. We're going to I said, come, knocked on his dress, hello, you're just going to come and say goodbye to the champ, like you do. And he went, he don't want to see you. I said, you don't want to see me? I was what's the matter with the mug? Then I went mad, didn't I? I went, but what hurts me is the fact, anyone wanted my dad to meet the Olympic champion. My dad was so made up, and of course my dad died anyway, so you can't put that right. But to him, it don't mean nothing, it's just something else that's happened. But I'd love to sit down and put things right. To me, it's something on my bucket list. But we had a fight years ago that's very, you know what, even mentioned, we had a fight years ago, 97 for the Southern Area title against a kid called Chris Emery. And great fight. I think it was number 4 fight of the year it was. But the story is, last round I knock him out and he goes in a coma. See, and they're going about all these other people that have done this and done it. But poor old Chris always gets left. Like, there was another guy out of his camp called Spencer Oliver. He had the same thing exactly. So we had Jess Harding, good heavyweight in his day. He actually managed Chris Emery and Spencer Oliver. So they managed this for poor old Jess, and he's a lovely guy. And Spencer, they're my friends to this day. So you have this thing with Chris Emery. He goes over, he's in a coma. I can't, there's me, one of the champion, I should be jumping up and down. Typical me. Was it falling in a bucket of tits, come out sucking my thumb? They're saying, you've got to be careful here, this kid's in a bad way. So I think it was 2-3 weeks later, Spencer's having his fight at Albert Hall. Bang, the same thing happens to Spencer. Talk about bad luck on Jess. But what I'm just trying to say, one of the hardest fights I've been with this Chris Emery, and that's another thing I'd love to do, because since that day, I've never spoke to Chris. I went to the hospital a couple of times, but I didn't have the bollocks to go in to the wall, because I'm still fighting, remember? And I don't know, is this going to... And it did to Bennett. It was only... See, this is how mad I brought this up. It's only like the other week. I'm driving home from work, and someone put it on Facebook, the poster. Chris Emery, I think Georgie Smith was on it. Julius Francis was fighting for the European title. We were like a joint top of the bill. So we had the first fight live on Eurosport. That happens. The ambulance comes. So that was when they only had one ambulance. So the whole show got cancelled. So, again, this poster come up the other week. And I'm driving home from work. All of a sudden, I had to pull over. It felt like someone had chinned me. And it made me realise, for all the years, was it 23 years ago, how much I put it to bed. I never thought about it. And it really messed my weekend up for a few days. It was only until I sat down with my mate and I spoke about it. He said, Dom, you've got to forget about this, mate. You've come so far now. And it just makes you realise how dangerous this sport is. But again, if Chris is out there, mate, there ain't a lot of time I don't think about you, brother. And it is hard. It is hard, because I've known when we were doing what we were doing in the criminal world, yeah, people got hurt, but this was different. This was a sport. I know we had our... no one forced us in the ring, but you don't want to hurt no one. I never actually wanted, especially when I was boxing, never wanted to hurt anybody, because I just wanted the titles, that's all I was interested in.